The National Electrical Code, or NEC, doesn't have a section that directly discusses pigtailing plugs for wall circuits. However, the NEC overall intent is to ensure electrical safety. It achieves this by setting standards for how electrical work should be performed. The NEC mandates that all electrical connections must be made in a manner that is approved by the authority having jurisdiction. The authority having jurisdiction is often a local building inspector or electrical inspector. They are responsible for ensuring that electrical installations comply with the NEC and local codes. The requirement for approval means that any method used for electrical connections, including pigtailing, must meet specific safety standards. In practice, this usually translates to using listed electrical connectors. Listed electrical connectors are those that have been tested and approved by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories, or UL. These connectors are designed to provide a safe and reliable electrical connection. Pigtailing is a wiring technique used to join multiple wires together at a single point or terminal. This is often done to extend the length of a wire, connect wires of different sizes, or create a junction point where several wires need to be connected together. There are several methods for pigtailing wires. These include using wire nuts, soldering, or crimp connectors. Wire nuts are probably the most common method for pigtailing wires in residential and commercial electrical installations. They are easy to use and provide a secure connection. To use a wire nut, the wires are first stripped of their insulation. The stripped ends are then twisted together, and the wire nut is screwed onto the twisted wires. The wire nut provides insulation and mechanical protection for the connection. Soldering is a more permanent method of pigtailing wires. It involves melting solder to join the wires together. Soldering provides a very strong and reliable connection, but it requires more skill and equipment than using wire nuts. Crimp connectors are another option for pigtailing wires. These connectors use a mechanical crimp to secure the wires together. Crimp connectors are available in a variety of sizes and types to accommodate different wire gauges and applications. Even though the NEC does not specifically address pigtailing plugs, it does have general requirements for electrical work. It emphasizes that all electrical connections be made in a safe and workmanlike manner. This means that the work should be done carefully and neatly, using appropriate tools and materials. It also means that the connection should be made in a way that minimizes the risk of electrical shock or fire. Because of the potential hazards involved in electrical work, the NEC implicitly suggests or implies that pigtailing should only be performed by a qualified electrician. A qualified electrician has the training and experience necessary to safely and correctly perform electrical work. They are familiar with the NEC and local codes, and they know how to use the appropriate tools and materials. Attempting to perform electrical work without proper training can be dangerous and can result in serious injury or death. When pigtailing, several important factors should be considered. Firstly, use the correct size of wire for the circuit. The wire gauge must be appropriate for the amperage of the circuit. Using a wire that is too small can cause the wire to overheat and create a fire hazard. Secondly, ensure that all connections are tight and secure. Loose connections can cause arcing and overheating, which can also create a fire hazard. Thirdly, properly insulate all connections. Exposed wires can create a shock hazard. Wire nuts or electrical tape should be used to insulate all connections. Fourthly, never overload a circuit. Overloading a circuit can cause the circuit breaker to trip or the fuse to blur. It can also damage appliances and create a fire hazard. Fifthly, always turn off the power before working on electrical circuits. This will prevent electrical shock. Firstly, when using wire nuts, select the appropriate size for the number and gauge of wires being connected. The wire nut should be large enough to completely cover the exposed wires and provide a secure connection. Secondly, twist the wires together tightly before applying the wire nut. This will ensure a good electrical connection. Thirdly, after applying the wire nut, give a gentle tug to make sure it is secure. If the wire nut comes loose, retwist the wires and reapply the wire nut. Firstly, when soldering wires, use a rosin coarse solder. Acid coarse solder should not be used for electrical connections, as it can corrode the wires. Secondly, heat the wires with the soldering iron before applying the solder. This will ensure that the solder flows evenly and creates a strong connection. Thirdly, allow the solder to cool completely before moving the wires. Moving the wires while the solder is still hot can weaken the connection. Firstly, when using crimp connectors, select the appropriate size and type of connector for the wires being connected. Secondly, use a crimping tool to crimp the connector onto the wires. Make sure the crimp is tight and secure. Thirdly, after crimping the connector, give the wires a gentle tug to make sure they are secure. The NEC contains various articles that are indirectly related to pigtailing practices. For example, NEC Article 110.3. B covers the examination, identification, installation, and use of equipment. This section requires that electrical equipment be installed and used in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions and that it be properly identified for its intended use. This would apply to any connectors or devices used in pigtailing. NEC Article 300.14, which pertains to the length of free conductors at outlets, junctions, and switch points. This section requires that sufficient length of free conductor be left at each outlet, junction, or switch point for making connections or repairs. This is relevant to pigtailing because it ensures that there is enough wire to work with when making connections. NEC Article 310 addresses conductors for general wiring. This article provides requirements for the size, insulation, and ampacity of conductors used in electrical installations. When pigtailing, it's crucial to use conductors that are properly sized for the circuit's load. NEC Article 406 covers receptacles, cord connectors, and attachment plugs. This article includes requirements for the installation and use of receptacles, cord connectors, and attachment plugs. While it doesn't directly address pigtailing, it does provide relevant information about the proper use of these devices. In summary, while the NEC doesn't have a dedicated section on pigtailing plugs for wall circuits, it emphasizes the importance of safe and workmanlike electrical connections. It requires that all electrical connections be approved by the authority having jurisdiction. This typically means using listed connectors or following best practices for pigtailing.